Hi there, Graham here with the next video. Now this video is entitled The System. Now I did warn you at the start of this week's training that this training is going to be very, very empowering, but also very, very, well, I won't say controversial, because what you're about to discover is 100% truth. It's all based on fact. It's all based on hidden but available evidence as well. And it's going to release the shackles from all of the learned limits you have. It's going to bring you home immediately to who you really are. It's going to possibly annoy you and frustrate you. It's going to shatter the illusion of the world as you may have believed it to be. It's going to prove beyond doubt that everything you've ever believed has been untrue. But for the greatest good sent from the universe to release your unlimited, boundless consciousness, for you to finally awaken to the truth of who you really are and to start living as you choose to live and manifest the life that you so richly deserve. Doesn't matter what it is you want or what it is you believe you can achieve or what it is you may have a habit with or addicted to or you keep attracting awful scenarios. It doesn't matter, because whatever you want to achieve, you will be able to do so after watching this video. This video is going to reveal the truth, and it will be very painful for some. This is a prior warning, so before we dive in, I had to get that disclaimer out there. So, 2 minutes in. You can see we're on the screen of the Believe and Achieve Life Success members area here, and you can see the image, oops, right there, and showing the box set. Now the reason for this image that I chose depicts something called compartmentalization, and this is very, very, very relevant to us as a spiritual being experiencing humanness, and also in the system of the world that we live in. Now why is this so important? Well, here we go. You may or may not know that the country that you live in is in fact nothing more than a corporation or company. So the country that you believe you live in is a company. And here's the evidence of that fact. The country that I live in the United Kingdom. And there is the active company status right there as well. It shows you when it was set up, etc., etc. And it's the same with the country that you live in, because you don't live in a country. You live in a company. Okay? The reason why you live in a company, not a country, is due to compartmentalization. Remember we said, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king? Well, without blame, without victimhood, just in truth, there are a group of individuals, people, who have set the world that we believe it to be up from day one. This goes back hundreds of years, and they've set the world up as a corporational structure, e.g., a hierarchical structure where they sit at the top. The systems of the world, such as the banks, the police, the schools, the health systems, all of that, and then the human beings at the bottom, like so. When we become illuminated or enlightened to this truth, then we can go within ourselves unclasp our consciousness, free our consciousness, and live as the true being of light which we are. So basically, all of the world structures are a corporation, all of the countries are a corporation, and you were not told this. You were not told this for a very, very powerful reason. Because the reason this is set up the way it is so that they, or the powers that alleged to be, have jurisdiction or control over you. Now, here's how they do that. The corporations, because they're a corporation, they have to abide by a certain set of rules which corporations have to abide by. And the language of the system that we live under, by solicitors, barristers, judges, police, all of that, is run on a language called legalese. So, what is legalese? Well, legalese, as it says here, consists of specialized terms or phrases used in the legal profession. Okay, this type of specialized language can carry over into legal contracts. Okay, so basically, the whole world that we live in is a company structure, as shown here, and the country that you live in is run because everything is corporations. They can only do business with other corporations. So they needed to create a language where corporations can speak to corporations, and this is the language of legalese. So this is the language that is used in court by solicitors, barristers, judges, and anybody in the legal profession. You were not told this language, and one of the words in this language of legalese is a person. Now, a person, as we can see when this loads, basically is, in general usage, a human being by statute is a person. However, the term can include firms, labour organisations, partnerships, associations, corporations. Corporation is a person, or a person is a corporation. So, why is this important? Why is the word person important, and why are we having so much focus on it? Well, because when you were born, without your knowledge, without your consent, without your awareness, and the same for your mum and dad, and the same for their mum and dad, there is no blame here. There is no blame here at all. But for our highest good, we were deceived on the day of our birth. Now you can see here, this is just an example of a birth certificate. I'm going to zoom in on that certificate now. This certificate is freely available on Google, and as you can see, okay, when a person is born, a person is a corporation, as we've just seen within Black's Law Dictionary, right there. Okay. Now, we also note with a corporation that all of the words are in uppercase letters. Okay. The reason that they're in uppercase letters is because a corporation is a dead entity. It doesn't actually exist in the realms of the real world. It's a dead, fictitious entity. Okay? Anybody can set up a corporation because it's just an idea in your head. It's an idea. It's not real in the basis of reality. Okay? It is a dead legal fiction. And all dead fictions have their names in uppercase letters. Or anything where you see uppercase letters is a corporation or a dead legal fiction, a legal contract, if you will. This is why when you were born, you see here on the certificate name and surname. Now, anything in all uppercase letters is a corporation, a fictitious dead entity, as you can see there. John Philip Smith in this example. So John Philip and then Smith Corporation. As you can see here, the name and surname of the father and the mother. So the baby was called John Philip Smith. The dad was called Philip John Smith. Great name. And the mother was called Margaret Valerie Smith. And again, you see the maiden surname all in caps. Surname in caps, surname in caps, surname in caps, surname in caps. Why is that? Because, as we said, anything in all capital letters is a dead corporate legal fiction. It doesn't exist in reality. Okay? So, back to the birth certificate then. Anything with a uppercase entry like so, this is called sign. This is written in sign. So even this writing on the paper here is written in a completely different language to the English we see here. Philip John in English and Smith in sign in uppercase letters. Now if we go here, I'm going to type in gravestone here in the search engine, and there's a very powerful reason I'm going to do that. To show you that anything on a gravestone, anything in all uppercase letters is a dead legal fiction. So what this is here is Mary Johnston, all in uppercase, as you can see here. And how apt is this gravestone? Thank you, Mary. And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. That is exactly what you're learning on this video. Beautifully, universally given there. Goosebumps. Wow. So, you see here that anything in all uppercase is a dead entity. And this is exactly why your surname on your birth certificate is in all caps. Because the corporation or the corporate system only can deal with dead, fictitious, corporate legal entities with no basis in reality whatsoever. This is why your name, the surname, proves that you are a dead legal fiction. Even the words on this certificate, that's a legal word. Child, that's a legal word. Father, that's a legal word. Mother. Occupation is a legal word. Informant is a legal word. Registration is a legal word. Now what registration means is that you hand over whatever it is that you're registering to the crown or the body of where this is registered to. So this very act of registering your baby at birth creates a dead legal entity who we believe is us. We believe our name, John Philip Smith, is who we are. And the system spends all of our lives, every waking hour, saturating into our subconscious mind through repetition, 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 over and over and over again, that we are John Philip Smith. Take it when you go to school, for example. John Smith? Yes, sir. Yes, miss. John Philip Smith? In court? Ah, that's me. So, from cradle to grave, we are taught that we are Philip John Smith, or in your case, your name. Okay? Now, I use my full name because I use it as a family name. And we'll get to that in a moment. And so should you. But they teach us that we're this name. And this is purely so that the corporation of our country, because it is a corporation, only a corporation can do business on a hierarchy with another corporation. We have, let's just say, we have the whiteboard here. Let's just pull out a pen to show you. Like so. So at the top of the pyramid, we have God. And then, under God, we have man or woman. And under man or woman, just here, we have corporations. Okay, so there's a hierarchical structure. Okay, there's a hierarchical structure. So you see God at the top is the highest port of reference. Then you have man or woman, and then you have corporations. So this is why corporations, being a lesser status than man or woman, have to lower the status of man or woman. But because corporations don't exist in reality, because they're dead legal fictions, they have to deceive the man or woman into lowering the status to that of the same as a corporation. And this is why you were deceived without your knowledge and without your parents' knowledge at birth, so that you became the same status as a corporation, the United Kingdom Limited. John Philip Smith, in all caps. Okay? Mary Johnston. As you can see the correlation here. So this is how they did it. And I am going to back up everything that I say with fact, evidence, and truth. And the reason why you've been taught you are your name and your surname your whole life, just like Mary was, is because the corporation of the United Kingdom or your country where you live can't do business with you unless you're the same status. And they have to tell you that because our consciousness has been so suppressed through us being born, and then our mum and dad's teaching us the same diluted consciousness, and our school system deliberately teaching us the same diluted level of consciousness, and teaching us to associate with a fictitious legal construct as a name. How were we ever meant to discover it? We weren't. But because they cannot defraud us, they have to tell us in plain sight that this name and surname, anything with a surname, is a dead legal fiction, hence the surname being in all caps. Your name is this. Your real name is this. And you can evidence this by getting your real birth certificate. Because this certificate, as you'll see, the one you have as well, depending in your country, is a certified copy and not the original certificate. The reason being, your original certificate with your real name, John Philip, goes to the Crown or the Vatican. Now, the reason why this is so important, the reason the whole system is set up like this, is to basically have you manifest your own fictitious identity. Now, they have to tell you that they are lying to you. They have to tell you because they can't be breaching God's law. Corporations cannot be breaching God's law, just the same as a man cannot breach God's law. There are circumstances for doing so. There are repercussions for doing so, sorry. So the people behind the setup of this fictional world we call reality, or we believe to be reality, cannot breach God's law. So they have to tell you. And they have told you. And I'm going to reveal today what that means. Let's go and look at the birth certificate again. So at the very, very bottom of the certificate, you will find the truth. And the truth is, your whole life as John Philip Smith, Margaret Valerie Smith, or Philip John Smith, whoever or whatever your name, which you believed your name to be, is a lie. Because this is not your identity. This is your fictional avatar identity. This is not who you are. And here is the proof. Warning. A certificate is not evidence of identity. This certificate, a certificate, is not evidence of your identity. And yet, our whole lives go through this world believing that this is who we are, believing that this is who our parents are, our friends are, our teachers are, everyone on the planet. And this is not who we are. John Philip Smith, in this example, is simply the dead corporate legal fiction, so that the corporation of your country can do business with you, can have power over you, and create endless fictitious so-called laws to suppress your consciousness, to suppress your liberty, to suppress your freedom of expression, to suppress your freedom of thought, and to suppress everything that comes from your soul. I did warn you, I did try and share with you before this video the power of this week's content. Now, I'm going to give you a moment just to take a breath on this, because this is seriously significant information, which is life transformational. Because when you realize your whole life has been a lie, it makes it so much easier to understand that your limits, therefore, are also lies, and your beliefs, therefore, are also lies, because everything that you've ever been taught, ever, has come from the very same system, which starts with your country and your birth. Everything your parents have gone through was through the system. Everything that they experienced was down to the system. Everything, like even you've just heard the police drive past there, everything that we're surrounded with in the outer world is the system. Every single company and corporation is registered to the United Kingdom Limited. Every single person who works for those companies is registered to the company that is created, and to the United Kingdom Corporation Limited. So everything goes back to the very, very top of the pyramid. Okay, and today your eye has been opened. Your eye has been opened, and the eye that's been opened today is your soul's eye, or your third eye. This video has cracked open the whole lie of your existence. I know it's very tough to comprehend, but I'll walk you through in a moment why it's all true and why and how it has suppressed you. So we can see then that a person is a corporation. So let's look at, say, in the UK we have alleged laws called Acts of Parliament, and in the US we have codes of Congress. I'm going to use these two countries as examples. Let me just see if I can find one. There we go. We'll use the Coronavirus Act 2020 from the United Kingdom Corporation Limited. The Coronavirus Act 2020. Let's see if we can find it. I'm at the wrong one here. Let's just find the right one. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll use the Coronavirus Face Coverings Act. Okay, so there we go. Got it. The Health Protection Coronavirus wearing face coverings in a relevant place. England Regulations 2020. And you can see there, not one word there says law, because any Act of Parliament is not law, only applicable to a legal person. It's only applicable to a legal person. I'm going to prove that for you right now. Here we go. Part 1 of the introduction of the Coronavirus Face Coverings Act 2020 states, in these regulations, face covering means a covering of any type which covers a person's nose and mouth. A corporation is a person under legalese, or the language of corporations. As you can see, legalese is the language of corporations. I actually lost it on here, but we did see it earlier. There we go. Legal contracts. Legalese consists of specialised terms or phrases, e.g. language used in the legal profession. This type of specialised language can carry over into legal contracts. So, because the birth certificate is not evidence for identity, and it is registered to the Crown with the informant as the father, the mother in this case, and the mother, without her knowledge, certified and registered her baby, and the baby's name is now a corporation, and as a contract has been formed with the Crown. So this name, John Philip Smith, aka the person, is who all Acts of Parliament refer to. Let me just give you another example. Let's try the Road Traffic Act, because there may be more. It'll be a lot more clearer to see. Let's see. Road Traffic Act 1991, United Kingdom Corporation legislation, and it says, let's just click on one of the parts. Okay, here we go. Straight away. A person who causes the death of another person is guilty of an offence. A person who drives a mechanically propelled vehicle, for the purposes of section 1 and 2 above, a person is regarded as driving dangerously. A person, so as you can see, Road Traffic Act 1991, all Acts of Parliament, all codes of Congress in the USA also are only applicable because they're not law. Why are they not law? Because a corporation cannot have jurisdiction or control over a man, because in the hierarchical structure of the universe, God is at the top, man is second, corporation is third. Something of fictitious nature cannot have control over something of substance and natural essence, such as man or woman, created by the almighty universe or God, whichever you want to call it. In all of us we have in all of us we have an inherent knowledge of what is right and what is wrong, and we know that if we do harm to another, then that is wrong. If another does harm to us, then that is wrong. We have an inherent compass, or the vast majority of us do, and this is why corporations need to deceive man into giving his authority, or woman into giving her authority through manipulative deceit over to them. Because a corporation doesn't actually exist in reality. And yet, all of our lives, we're governed by a corporation. As you can see, like that. Same in your country. We're governed by this stuff. Now, it's very strange to see all this on a video relating to consciousness and spirituality, but this is an amazing, amazing piece of unknown knowledge that very, very, very few people are aware of on this planet. Everything that you've gone through in your life has a foundation attached to this. So you are not your name. Today you're going to learn your name. Right now, I'm going to learn you your name. Your name, for example, is not John Philip Smith. Anything with a surname is a legal, fictitious entity and not your identity. So your name, and you can get evidence of this by getting your real birth certificate right now. Your name is your name plus your middle name, your Christian names, John Philip. So if you wanted to get a copy of this certificate on here, you'd phone at the registry office, which is here, and you'd say, the general registry office, okay, and you'd say, I want a copy of my birth certificate. And they'd say, yes, give us your name and your date of birth. Or you'd say, John Philip Smith, and that would be your first mistake, because your name is not John Philip Smith. That is the identity of the fictitious, corporate, contractual slave, by a better term. The avatar identity, the fiction, the one that has given their power away, albeit unwittingly and unconsciously. And you'd give your date of birth as the 21st of June 2009. And if you did say you were John Philip Smith, 21st of the 6th, 2009, you would receive this certificate here. You'd receive the certified copy of your certificate here. But if you want your real certificate, you have to know your real name. And you have to know how to get the certificate. Your real name is your Christian name, which is John Philip. And your date of birth is the date of registration, the 28th of June 2009, roughly a month ahead. A week ahead of your legal fiction's date of birth. Now, the reason this is important is because if you quote that information to the registrar, if you say, I'm John Philip and my date of birth is the 28th of June 2009, you'll get your certificate of live birth, your real identity, whereby possession of it deems you home. You know who you are. You have achieved your life's universal purpose. So reclaim your truth. That is part one. Reclaiming your truth and knowing who you are. If you want to do this, you can do this, but it's entirely your choice. Just knowing is usually enough because it gives you the energetical shift into the truth, the vibration of truth. It changes and transforms lives, usually in under an hour after watching this video. And you remember, or you may remember, on the main page for the promotion of this course, a lot of the people who I've worked with have transformed their lives in under an hour by watching this video, because they've realised everything that they've ever believed was a lie. Everything that they've ever thought was true was a lie. Everything. Because what they were taught from their parents were taught from this system. And this system is lying to you to suppress you and hold you prisoner of your own unconsciousness. So, there are only 4 laws on the planet that you can break. Why is that important? Because you are free. Freedom is a state of mind. Freedom is not a grant or a permission. And this is why acts of parliament or legislation is a rule of society. In terms of the legal definition of the word legislation, it is a legislative rule of society, not law. And the reason it can't be law is because corporations cannot have power over man, because they are lower in the ranking of the order. So, effectively then, there are 8 million acts of parliament currently on the books, probably the same or more actually in the USA, and not one of them has any jurisdiction over you, because you were defrauded into contracting as this name. Did you know that this was not your name? Did you know, even though it shows you in plain sight, this is not your identity? Until today, you probably didn't know. So today, you are free. Right now, you are free. Because no code of Congress, no act of parliament, they all apply to the person. And the person is a corporation. And you are not a corporation. You are a man or woman sitting above, just under God, but above corporate structures. Now, the vast majority, if not all, of every correspondence you receive from so-called government, which are nothing more than a corporation, as defined in fact here, is, well, basically, they have zero power over you. Every letter you receive from them is written in a language that you were not trained in. You cannot possibly understand or comprehend the meaning of the words in the letter. But because your birth certificate is a contract, there's a very specific way that contracts work. And there's only 2 things to do. Any letter you receive from government, do not ignore it, because that means you've acquiesced to a contract or a contractual agreement, or basically do not argue and cause controversy, or you go into dishonour in court and you lose. That's how the game works. So any letter you receive from government that you don't want to comply with, you just conditionally accept. Write those words down. Conditionally accept. Okay? Because why? Then you don't go into dishonour, and then you don't go, let me just delete all this, then you don't go into giving your power away to corporations who have none. So today, you took the red pill. Well, you would have if it would draw. Today, you have indeed took the red pill. That's the worst pill I've ever drawn. But, my friends, welcome to the real world. Today, you now know who you really are. And it is not who you thought you were. You now know that your country's laws are nothing more than legislative rules of society. If you consent to them, they apply to you. But because you're not a person and you can evidence the fact that you are not a person, you are free as the wind blows. So thank you so much for watching this video. It's been very, very enjoyable for me to create, because for many, many years now, I've been helping and supporting people spiritually with all this kind of stuff, and helping people raise their vibration and awareness to discover who they really are and who they are not. So just remember, the whole world is a lie compared to what we've been raised to believe that it was. And this is to hold you in perpetual slavery, in a prison that you, very Matrix-esque, can't see, smell, taste, or touch. It's a prison, literally, for your mind. And this is what government actually means. If we look up the origins, or we break down, the origins of the word, govern, well, let me ask you, govern, govern means what? What do you define govern as? Well, let me just write down the word that you're shouting at your screen right now. Govern means control. Govern means control. And the origin of the word mind, well, the origin, of the word meant is mind in Latin. Put them two together, and what you get? You get control mind. So a government's only job is to control what you believe by controlling your subconscious mind, which is why they're omnipresent in everything that we do. All of the 8 million statutes and millions more codes of Congress. Why are there so many? To give the illusion that they're everywhere. You can't do anything, or you could risk breaking a law, in inverted commas, which is not the truth. The coronavirus that we are currently all living under right now, again, is psychological operation to control the minds of the population. Why? so that people are easily malleable and susceptible to control. Why would they want to do that under the guise of a virus? Because they know that health and good people want other people to be healthy. They want other people to not jeopardize the health of other people. And they know that people would not do that. They are manipulating the minds of the people to get their way. Why would they want to get their way? Because there is an agenda at play. And the agenda stems from the government hierarchical structure. The government hierarchical structure. So the government at the very, very top of the control of the mind, then the banks, then the police, and the schools, the health, blah, 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 and the people at the very bottom of the pyramid. And it's actually us who follow the orders of the very, very top of the pyramid. It's actually us that hold our own prison cell door shut because we're at the bottom making all of this stuff tick. So the government have an agenda in every single country to fulfill, and they work together, poisoning the subconscious minds of the masses so that the masses behave through repetition in such a way that their behavior fulfills the government's own planned agenda. Incredible, isn't it? Incredible. So the government agenda for coronavirus is a fewfold, but it is to, one, destroy the economy, two, create a cashless society, three, create every man, woman and child dependent upon the government by destroying their businesses, their livelihoods, their incomes, four, mass vaccinate the population, and five, depopulate the planet by up to 90% to give complete totalitarian control over the remaining masses of the population. Now that isn't to scare you, that's telling you the absolute truth. And again, to evidence what I say, I always want to do this. I'm going to show you something called the Georgia Guidestones. The Georgia Guidestones are the inversion of the Ten Commandments. And on the Georgia Guidestones, it actually says that the governments worldwide want to maintain the population. Oh, let me just go back. We've had a broken link there. We just go back to this one. Hopefully we can read this one. Oh, again, another broken link. Doesn't surprise me. Does not surprise me. See if this one works. There we go. Where are we? Just out of reach. Maintain the population under 500 million people in perpetual balance with nature. And to stop people reproducing, e.g., the vaccine, coronavirus. Obviously, we're going to try and find one that this can actually. There we go. Maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. So as you can see there, all literally written in stone. So welcome to the first day of your new life. Now you know who you are. Now you know how to prove it. Now you know that everything that you've ever believed was a lie. And the reason we've shared this video with you today is to empower you beyond belief. Because if everything you've ever believed wasn't true, then we can start programming your mind with things that you'd like to be true, and thus manifest your dream life. Thank you for watching.